Good morning. Welcome to the Parenting Versus podcast. We haven't done this in a couple weeks. Last episode was with your brother.
Yeah.
That was fun.
A quarantine special or something. Now it's Bird Fest 2020 on our patio. There's a bunch of birds. And then the other day, we were sitting on our patio having coffee like we are today. And we heard a noise, and we looked over, and there was a coyote in our yard.
Nature is healing.
Nature is healing.
Well, I've been enjoying the wildlife that's in our backyard.
Me too.
The birds. So you bought a bird feeder. That was one of the first things we bought after lockdown.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are noticing nature now that they're home. But
I just figured if we're going to be sitting out here and we're going to have a lot of time in our own home, we should have something to look at that's not a TV.
No, I'm really glad that you did. And one thing that I've been doing is putting the bird seed in a little dish on the floor. And I have two phones. They call me Zoe Two Phones.
That's his street name.
But I have this like boom stand for a phone that actually you bought me as part of like some podcasting equipment you bought me from a while back. And I've never used it for podcasting, but I do use it to record stuff on video. But anyways, like you okay?
Yeah, wow.
Took a drink of coffee?
I took a way too big drink of coffee and I swallowed it fast and I was like, sorry if you heard that on the mic.
So I've been putting the camera on them and just kind of watching them up close, and it's been really interesting, like for me.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's funny because I think the first time you did it, they were like a little bit apprehensive, and now they don't even notice.
Yeah.
So.
And I keep saying like I want to learn how to identify these different types of birds and like the different flora and fauna of our area.
Yeah.
I know sparrows, like those are pretty easy to identify, and then we have doves, like these ringneck doves, which I had mentioned on a previous podcast. My mom had pet doves. There were two named Holy and Ghost.
Oh.
You don't remember?
I don't think I knew you when your mom had pet doves.
No, you didn't.
But
they lived for a long time.
Did she use them to carry messages to the hood?
They were the original doves from the Ark.
I just think about like that scene in Training Day, that movie with Denzel Washington.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Are you serious?
How old is that movie?
Oh, it's such a good movie. I mean, it's
Did
old.
it come out before we got married?
Probably.
Huh.
It's so good. We'll have to watch it. And he's like driving through the hood, and the guy like lets all the pigeons go to like warn everybody in the neighborhood that the cops in the neighborhood, and like.
Oh, they're using like old-fashioned ways to communicate.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That's
So.
what it reminds
So
me.
I know the doves. I know the sparrows, and then there are these little tiny birds that have these little red breasts. Not like breasts, but like they have a red breast.
Yes, we got it. Thanks.
And
What kind of show do you think this is?
I don't know. We can take it wherever we want.
That's true.
And then we started a garden.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which attracted the blue jays and then these robins. And these robins are big. They're big boys.
That blue jay that's been in our yard scared the living shit out of me yesterday. I was sitting here drinking something at the patio table just in the afternoon, like relaxing, and I hear this and I look over on the fence like really close to me, and he just like landed, and then he noticed that I was there and flew right over my head.
Right.
And he was huge.
Yeah. Might have been female.
That's
another thing. Like I want to figure out how to identify like blue jays, because for some reason I thought blue jays had a crest, but
no.
Anyways,
he's very, or she, or whatever. It's very territorial over the yard. I've noticed.
Well, jays. I know this is turning into a nature show, but
it's all right. I hear a baby crying in the distance. There's the parenting aspect.
Triggering your.
Not our baby.
Yeah. No parenting breaks on this one. Jays, if I'm not mistaken, are related to like crows and ravens, and are very smart.
Cool.
Yeah.
We should train it to do things. I don't know what, but we should train it.
I was watching this documentary. I don't know if it's like National Geographic or whatever.
Yeah.
It was on YouTube, or doesn't matter. But they had this raven, and they were training the raven how to solve puzzles in order to get like this like hunk of meat.
Yeah, they can be trained to like problem solve.
And it was like really complicated problems. Like there was like a cup of water, and like he had the raven had to like drop rocks in there to like displace the water to make the meat float or something like that. It was like really complex stuff. So I don't know.
I think I may have mentioned this on one of our podcasts before, but I had a really strange occurrence with a raven once.
What was it?
It sounds so weird when I say it out loud. So I was pregnant with our daughter, and I was feeling really sick that day. And so I went home from work early, and I went home and I was like, I'm going to lay down for a little bit. I just feel, pregnant and nauseous and sick. So I went home, and it was like around lunchtime. And so I'm in our bedroom in our old house, laying down, and I hear this noise. Like, it's like it was on top of our like water heater. Or our cooler, I'm sorry, in our old house, which was like a big clunky cooler.
It's an evaporative cooler, which we have here
and
in
really
Albuquerque.
Old and just, it just made a lot of noise. And it sounded like somebody was knocking on it. Like it almost sounded like a person knocking on it. Like somebody was tinkering with it. And I'm like, okay, whatever, birds, okay. But then I start hearing noises, and I remember thinking, like, I thought you came home for lunch and you were just like messing with me. I don't know why you would do this, but like in my delirium of pregnancy and being half asleep, I was like, maybe Lorenzo's just trying to mess with me, because it sounded like,
So you're pregnant with Juliet at this point. Yeah.
it sounded like a person making bird noises. Like it sounded like a person imitating bird noises.
Yeah.
Like ka, ka, ka. And I was like, what is happening? And I remember thinking, this is super weird. And I thought maybe you were home and you were just trying to mess with me or something because you knew I was home. I don't know what I was thinking. So I went outside and I'm like looking around. I'm like, okay, nobody's here. And then out of nowhere, this giant raven flies right over my head, like very close to my head, loops back up in the sky and is like, ka, 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 ka. And it was the weirdest thing. But then when I researched ravens later, because it was just amazing. It was a huge bird.
Yeah.
And it had been messing around on our roof for some reason. But they can imitate human sounds.
Weird.
And they can imitate people, and they can imitate other noises that they hear. So I don't know if it was just like a bird that had like heard people making bird. It just sounded like a human trying to make a bird noise. It was the weirdest thing.
It was trying to like lure you out so it can get into your fridge or something.
I don't know. It was so strange. But yeah, apparently ravens can imitate other noises like really well. And they're very smart. So I was like, well, that was super weird.
So I was watching this film. It was it was narrated by the great David Attenborough, who's one of my heroes. He's a saint.
Saint David
I love David Attenborough.
of Attenborough.
He's my favorite. But there's this bird that lives in, I think, the Amazon jungle. And it's the same thing. It imitates noises, and it's really good at it. Yeah. And it was imitating the sound of a chainsaw because of deforestation, which is kind of sad.
I like laugh, and then I'm like, oh,
but
wait,
no,
that's
like
really
it was like perfect chainsaw.
Yeah.
It was nuts. Like, I don't know. You could probably Google like bird that makes chainsaw noises, and I'm sure you can find it. But it's pretty crazy.
I'm gonna look up some raven facts for all you bird nerds out there.
Is that what we're doing?
I'm doing that right now.
Okay.
I feel like people need to learn about nature because it's around us.
Yeah.
Nature is around us, and we don't take enough time.
Yeah.
Okay. 10 fascinating facts about ravens, and this is on mentalfloss.com. Oh, this is interesting.
So before you read,
Okay.
there are some things that I think that are just like legend that are like talked about when it comes to ravens. Not even like legend, but just
like Edgar Allan Poe wrote
not
the
even
Raven.
that. Just like wives' tales. I don't know why they call them wives' tales.
Old wives' tales.
So I heard, and it's not verified.
Hold on. If anybody knows where the phrase old wives' tales came from, let us know. I'm curious.
Google it right now and tweet us.
Well, yeah.
At Parenting VS Pod.
Okay.
So I heard that ravens can recognize human faces.
Oh, yeah.
And if you piss one off, it will tell the rest of its crew.
It'll call the murder hornets, and they will show up on your doorstep.
Actually, a group of crows is called a murder.
I know.
And I wonder if a group of ravens is also called a murder.
A group of ravens is called a homicide.
Jeez.
I'm just kidding. I don't
Yeah.
know. Okay, are we ready for this?
A group of murder hornets is called Carol.
A group of fucking murder hornets.
Carol killed her husband.
Carol killed her husband. A Karen. Okay. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
Oh, ravens and crows are related. Okay, so here we go. Fact number 1. Ravens are one of the smartest animals. When it comes to intelligence, these birds are right up there with chimpanzees and dolphins. Cool. Strange. And I don't know if I like that.
Really smart.
If a raven knows another raven is watching it hide its food, it will pretend to put the food in one place while really hiding it in another.
Wow, the decoy.
That's smart, ravens. Oh, here we go. Okay. Ravens can imitate human speech. I don't like that.
Yeah.
In captivity, ravens can learn to talk better than some parrots. They also mimic other noises like car engines, toilets flushing, and animal and bird calls. No wonder. They have been known to imitate wolves or foxes to attract them to carcasses that the raven isn't quite capable of breaking open.
Oh, wow. That's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, caca, I'm a wolf. Come over here and open this carcass.
That's the
and
same.
eat it.
That's kind of a similar relationship that like honey badgers have with. What's that? It's a bird. I don't know. Anyways, I taught biology last year, and I was talking about
It's a bird.
It's a bird. Like honey badgers don't know how to get to, like they want to. Is it honey badgers?
I don't
It doesn't matter. Anyways, move on.
Okay. Fact number 3. Europeans often saw ravens as evil in disguise. Many European cultures took one look at this large black bird with an intense gaze and thought it was evil in the flesh. In
Evil
France,
in the flesh.
people believed ravens were the souls of wicked priests,
Whoa.
while crows were wicked nuns. Jeez Louise.
Isn't it great that science has advanced since then?
Yeah.
Although
Well,
I think we're regressing now with like anti-vaxxers.
Okay, it gets better.
Okay.
In Germany, ravens were the incarnation of damned souls, or sometimes Satan himself.
Whoa.
In Sweden, ravens that croaked at night were thought to be the souls of murdered people who didn't have a proper Christian burial.
Damn.
In Denmark, people believed that night ravens were exorcised spirits, and you'd better not look up at them in case there was a hole in the bird's wing, because you might look through the hole and turn into a raven yourself. That is very specific.
Has that ever happened to somebody?
I know, I'm like,
oh,
where
yeah.
did that come from?
Like,
This one time, my great-uncle Charlie looked up at a raven, and he had a hole in his wing, and then he became a spirit.
that's so crazy that like people made up these things and people believed them, even though there was no like observed, like it never happened to anybody.
Right.
Right?
Ravens have been featured in many myths. So they talk about Tibet and Greek mythology, Celtic. The Viking god Odin had 2 ravens.
Great
with him.
Odin's raven.
Great Odin's raven, or 2. Chinese have culture associated with ravens. Native Americans worship them as deities themselves.
That's so cool. Native folks worship them and admire them.
I like how
And-
Native Americans are like, look, you guys, let's not
they-
assume the worst here.
And the Europeans are like, it's Satan.
I know, Native Americans are like, they might just be really cool birds. Calm down.
Natives are like, nature's beautiful. Like, this bird is beautiful and should be respected and worshipped. Europeans are like, that shit's evil.
The devil! Number 5, ravens are extremely playful. That might explain my encounter with one. The Native Americans weren't far off about the raven's mischievous nature in folklore. They have been observed in Alaska and Canada using snow-covered roofs as slides.
Whoa.
I love it. In Maine, they have been seen rolling down snowy hills. They often play keep away with other animals like wolves, otters, and dogs. Ravens even make toys, a rare animal behavior, by using sticks, pine cones, or golf balls, or rocks to play catch with each other by themselves. And sometimes they just taunt or mock other creatures because it's funny. Okay, there it is. I was being mocked.
There you go. Yeah, you were played.
I was played by a raven. Number 6, this is strange. Ravens do weird things with ants. That's a very specific fact. They lie in ant hills and roll around so the ants swarm on them, or they chew the ants up and rub their guts on their feathers. The scientific name for this is called anting. Songbirds, crows, and jays
Anting.
do it too. The behavior is not well understood. Theories range from the ants acting as an insecticide and fungicide for the bird, to ant secretion soothing a molting bird's skin, to the whole performance being a mild addiction. One thing seems clear, though, anting feels great if you're a bird. That's super weird.
I've seen our dogs, and when we had Floofy, our cat, did things like that. If there was like a dead bug, like they killed the bug, they would like face dive into the bug and like roll around in the bug. Have you seen? I remember Diego and Penny used to do that. And then
so
I think
weird.
even Floofy, our cat, did that too. Like a dead bug. Like they wouldn't like chew it up and like rub it.
Maybe it was maybe it's like cocaine for animals.
I don't know.
We just have a bunch of addicts on our hands. Ravens use hand gestures, in quotes. It turns out ravens make very sophisticated non-vocal signals. according to researchers. In other words, they gesture to communicate. A study in Austria found that ravens point with their beaks to indicate an object to another bird, just as we do with our fingers. They also hold up an object to get another bird's attention.
So they point their beaks at stuff?
Yeah,
that reminds me of
over there.
That reminds me of the northern New Mexico point. Me and my brother kind of they point like in northern New Mexico. You don't bother raising your arm to point at something. You point with your lips and you like.
Oh, that's very Panamanian too.
Like
Panamanians.
Oh yeah, you can go to the gas station. It's over there, and you just point with your lips.
Over there. Nice. Maybe all ravens are northern New Mexicans. Ravens are adaptable. Evolutionarily speaking, the deck is stacked in the raven's favor. They can live in a variety of habitats, from snow to desert mountains to forests. They are scavengers with a huge diet that includes fish, meat, seeds, fruit, carrion, and garbage. Yum.
Yeah.
They have very few predators and live a long time. 17 years in the wild and up to 40 years in captivity. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you can hear the doves
hooting. He's hanging out. He's not scared of us. That's Gertrude, actually.
That might be the boy one.
No,
look at his neck is like all huge.
Now I have to name him too. Ravens show empathy for each other. Despite their mischievous nature, ravens seem capable of feeling empathy. When a raven's friend loses in a fight, they will seem to console the losing bird. They also remember birds they like and will respond in a friendly way to certain birds for at least 3 years after seeing them.
That's pretty incredible.
They also respond negatively to enemies and suspiciously to strange ravens. Although a flock of ravens is called an unkindness, the birds appear to be anything but. So it's a murder of crows and an unkindness of ravens.
Oh, okay, wow.
Now we know.
An unkindness.
This is my favorite fact, and I knew this one before. I knew this because I researched them. Ravens roam around in teenage gangs.
Teenage gangs, like
a bunch of hooligans.
Like they're juvenile ravens.
Yeah. Ravens mate for life and live in pairs in a fixed territory. When their children reach adolescence, they leave home and join gangs, like every human mother's worst nightmare.
And they go around causing trouble.
These flocks of young birds live and eat together until they mate and pair off.
They tag up that alley over there.
Yep. Interestingly, living among teenagers seems to be stressful for the raven. Duh. Scientists have found that higher levels of stress hormones in teenage raven droppings than in the droppings of mated adults. It's never easy being a teenage rebel.
Wow.
They're like,
that's so cool.
Hey, homie, let's go break into some cars.
I would love to be a scientist who specializes in studying ravens. That'd be so cool.
I know. I knew that part about them living in gangs. It's just kind of hilarious to me.
I didn't know that.
It's like Rebel Without a Cause, Raven style.
Yeah.
So now everybody knows 10 facts about ravens.
There you go.
And that concludes my presentation.
Yeah. Well,
so there's that.
It's really cool. I need to get a refill of coffee.
Uh-huh.
So should we take a parenting pause real quick?
Side note, our kids are at their grandparents'.
Yeah.
Save our sanity. So, yeah, go get some more coffee and
right.
let's rock and roll.
We'll be right back. All right, we're back.
Yeah.
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 So ravens, those were fun.
Yeah.
We can switch.
Nature's teenagers.
Yeah, nature's teenagers. We can switch gears a little bit.
Yeah.
I did a YouTube video, which is on our parenting YouTube channel.
Which is what?
It's just youtube.com/parenting versus podcast, I think. I don't know. It's on our website, parentingvspodcast.com. Anyways, that's a dumb video. I do these things, these videos I like to post on YouTube where I go for a run. Because like when I'm running, my brain is like flooded and I kind of sort out like all of these. What's up?
I just had a blip of a thought. It was like Scooby-Doo saying, "Running with Lorenzo." Anyway, sorry. It was just, yeah, okay. I don't know. You asked.
Okay, cool.
Here it is.
Yeah. Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
I never liked Scooby-Doo, did you?
Roo-roo. Yes, I loved Scooby-Doo.
Maybe I did. I don't know. There's so many people dressed up as monsters.
That's right.
Anyways, like, yeah, so I'll go for a run and as I'm running, listening to music, these thoughts come to my mind and I'm working things out in my brain and making sense of the world. Because in my day-to-day, parenting 3 kids,
Makes no sense.
Working from home, and then like juggling my, and finding balance in my relationship with you.
Yeah.
There is basically no time to like sort out these thoughts, these pressing thoughts like in your head.
I feel like when you're exercising, it's a really great time to like have that mental clarity.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
I do that when I walk too.
I think it's needed too. And if I don't get an opportunity to do that, I don't feel healthy.
Right.
Like not even just physically healthy, but like mentally healthy.
For real.
So anyways, like I did one video where it was a desert analogy. Mm-hmm. Talking about how just like the what's the word I'm looking for? Jeez, I can't even speak to this morning. The biome that we're in, mm-hmm. like we're a high desert, and how life is here, and life is thriving here, but it had to adapt.
Right.
And I kind of compared that to Albuquerque. Mm-hmm. Like life is here, and life is thriving. And if you look for it, it's not easy for everybody to live in Albuquerque, and that's one thing that Albuquerque deals with is like producing really amazing, talented people, and then they end up moving somewhere else. What?
I'm sorry. No, we had this conversation. I was recording the What's Up ABQ podcast yesterday with somebody who works at the Albuquerque Economic Development Department for the city, Anne Marie. Mm-hmm. What up, Anne Marie?
When's that episode going to come out?
I'm not sure. Probably like 2 weeks. But we were talking about that, and we were talking about, she said a lot of people move here from other places, and they're like, I want to be here. I love it here.
Yeah.
And they're like, their next question is always, what's up with Albuquerque's like self-esteem problem? Like, it's like the girl who's pretty, who's always like, I'm so ugly.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to tell you you're pretty, Albuquerque. You're pretty. Yeah. Everybody likes you. You're pretty. Okay. Stop gloating.
Yeah. I think most of the people this might be true for a lot of places, but transplants who come here willingly, like on their own decision, love it. Like they love the weather, especially people who move from here from like Ohio. I guess I've noticed that there's a lot of Ohio people that go to our church. Well, and they're usually brought here by some sort of like high tech job, because there's the labs and then there's Intel and stuff. But
it's interesting too, though, because I think as New Mexicans, like we always assume people are here against their will,
right?
And it's like, no, they're not. And I think that's our bad. Like when you approach the conversation, like, oh, why would you come here? Like, how does that make people feel? I mean, and that's you're kind of like already getting off to a bad start when you're like not talking nicely about the place you live, mm-hmm. like some people are here because they want to be, not because they were like duped into it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of the people who say bad things about Albuquerque are not from here, they are from here, and then they just, I don't know, got into this mindset.
It's a perspective thing. We were talking about that on the podcast yesterday. Like, it's really a shift in perspective, and like negative self-talk for a person mm-hmm. is bad, and it perpetuates a negative self-image. So for a city, it's the same thing. Like right. Negative city talk is still bad, and it still perpetuates a bad view of a city. Mm-hmm. So you have to start changing like the words coming out of your mouth relating to mm-hmm. the place you are.
Right. Yeah. So I talked a little bit about that analogy, because desert plants are beautiful. I think mm-hmm. we have these, and again, like as I'm running too, I'm thinking like, oh man, I need to identify what is that bush called? What is this like little shrub called? Or what kind of cactus is this? But to me, desert plants are so incredible because they have adapted to find ways to store up and save this water, mm-hmm. which is precious, and all plants, all life need this water to survive, and they found ways to get it.
Not to mention that we had a freaking coyote in our backyard.
Yeah. Coyotes are incredible too. Like, where do you get your water from? Like, I think a lot of
our wading pool.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe like the urban coyotes. They find
urban coyotes.
They find water, but I think a lot of these animals too. These desert animals get their water from like eating. Like mm-hmm. they use the water that's in their food. But it's just I'm thinking about this, and the desert is not really an attractive place for a lot of people. I think it's like ingrained in our brain, evolutionary. Like most settlements happen close to waters, like
Well, I
like
think
a river
at first
or
glance,
oceans.
desert looks barren, but like when you start actually looking at how things
Right.
survive, it's very fascinating.
Right. Well, I think a lot, even you, like a lot of people who relocate here from really lush, like I say beautiful, like green, and
Different climates.
I love like the lush, beautiful, like the Pacific Northwest is enticing, like mysterious, like the fog, it's like beautiful, kind of scary a little bit, could be.
Sasquatch, guys.
Sasquatch, the ultimate social distancer.
Yep.
But like people who move here and they come here on a plane and they're just flying over and they're like, oh, it's so brown. But I think once you get a chance to like look closer, you're gonna realize like, yeah, it's brown, but there's still all this life everywhere, and it's surviving.
Last year when we took our road trip with the kids and we were in like Utah and Arizona and California and we just like went all over, I remember learning about saguaro cacti.
Which don't happen in New Mexico. They don't live here.
Right. We were in the Tonto National Forest, driving through. And I remember looking at these, like we pulled over to take a picture and looking at these huge saguaros. And I remember thinking like, it's so interesting to me because birds and animals and things use them to survive in the desert, right? But then when you learn that it takes them 70 years or something to grow one arm, and then you look at all these cactuses that have like 3 arms, you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible. It took that long for this cactus to look like this. Like, that means that cactus is literally 200 years old.
Yeah.
And that blew my mind. I remember thinking, like, at first glance, you're like, man, it's a cactus, it's a desert, whatever. But when you actually start to think about what it takes to survive and then thrive in a desert, it's incredible stuff.
That's why it's kind of interesting to me when we go to Phoenix. And I talk crap about Phoenix a lot just because it's hot, and a lot of people confuse Albuquerque for Phoenix, which is not.
We don't have saguaro cacti, guys. Like, we don't have them.
And it doesn't break 100 degrees
fine.
from like April to September or October here. Like we break 100 for like a week in, I think like June or May.
Yeah.
But that's it. Anyways, like how people use those cactuses in Phoenix to landscape. I'm like, wow, that must be pretty intense. Like as far like expensive, because these cactuses they're not.
No, they take
They
water.
take a long time
to root, to live.
To root, to live, but also to just the time it takes to grow one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My dad has one in his backyard, and it's small. I mean, I remember looking at it when we went there, and it's like probably waist height. But even so, to get to that height, it's got to be like 30 or 40 years old.
Yeah.
Like, it's starting to sprout its one little arm, kind of. And I'm
Pretty
like,
intense.
dang, that's, yeah.
Pretty intense. Well, we're just like a nature podcast.
I guess. NatureCast 2020.
NatureCast. All right.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to shift gears.
Okay. Can we take a break?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to shift gears away from nature, I guess. We'll be back. All right, we're back.
We're back.
Switching gears, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I don't...
Nitty gritty.
No. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it. But we finished the most current season of Ozarks last night.
Spoiler alerts. Pause it. No, that's not spoiling anything.
I'm not going to spoil anything. I have a lot to think about.
Ozarks is good.
So good. Yeah.
I enjoy it.
It was like, wow.
We're up to date.
Wow.
Yeah.
So much to think about. I don't typically get over involved in like TV shows, but that show just continues to like blow my mind.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's so good. I've been thinking about that since last night.
Yeah. That's how you know it's good, is if it stays on your mind.
Yeah.
That's how... Oh, there goes the phone.
There it goes.
That's how I felt about... What do you call it? What's that movie we watched? Parasite.
Yeah, that was a good movie. That was a really good movie.
It was really good. Yeah, like the next day. Was it? Yeah. I was trying to think. Yeah, it was subtitled. Yeah, it wasn't in English.
Yeah, Korean?
It's Korean, yeah.
Korean, yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. All right, so let's switch gears. We talked about ravens and deserts and all this other stuff. I don't know, did you want to switch gears to something different?
I mean...
Want to talk about marriage chemistry and how it's changed over the course of 10 years?
No. It's too heavy for me right now.
Well, we're deep into the podcast. Only the true fans are still here. Fans. Yeah. Both of us like fans.
Ha.
Yeah.
People listening and going, I'm glad that's not me.
Yeah.
3 kids? Holy shit. These guys are losers.
Talking through your teeth. Love it.
Holy shit. Yeah. No, I think it's crazy. Our 4-year-old is turning 5 on Sunday.
Yeah, he's our middle guy.
Our middle guy, yeah, he's turning 5. Kind of a crazy time to turn 5. We know somebody who is a fireman, and they're going to bring the fire truck by our house for his birthday.
Yeah.
A little drive-by fire truck action for a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
He's made it very clear to me that he wants a chocolate cake.
Can't believe he's 5, though.
I know. He's our middle guy is so funny because our oldest and youngest are similar in their personalities. They're both like social and outgoing and loud and not shy. And our middle guy is very quiet and reserved and stubborn. He's really stubborn, but he's so different from the other two. He's really
He's
special.
a horse of a different color.
He is. He's also one of those that's more introverted. Like he likes to go off in groups and like he'll play by himself.
Yeah.
Quietly. Like it's just his
He cracks
thing.
me up too. Like sometimes he's just okay with not talking.
Yeah, he is.
Like our 8-year-old doesn't stop talking.
Gosh, I know, it's exhausting.
and he argues and he
But why? But how come?
Yeah.
But wait, I just have to tell you one more thing. Hold on.
If he's in a bad mood, he's talking. If he's in a good mood, he's talking. If he's talking. I love him, and that's just his thing. But he's always just in your ear talking. Riley, on the other hand, when we're at lunch, it was yesterday, eating at our table because we're not going anywhere, obviously. He was just eating his lunch very slowly, meticulously, like scooping his mac and cheese into a spoon, enjoying the bite, and then just kind of staring up into space. And I'm like, what is on your mind? What are you thinking about?
I'm always curious about that.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on in there? He's just very introspective. He's, and sometimes I'll be like, are you okay, buddy? Like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. And then you'll ask him, he'll have a very serious look, and you'll say like, what are you thinking about? Oh, just trains. And you're like, oh, all right. Like, that's not what I was expecting. Or like, he has this look on his face, like he's just deep in thought. And then you ask him what he's thinking about, and it's just something random. But he processes things differently than our other two, and that's okay. He's just one of a kind. So it'll be interesting to see as he grows up, sort of the person he becomes.
I was going through pictures the other day, just because I was making you that video for Mother's Day. And just seeing our family change and morph and evolve, like from when Luke was a baby to now. And it's just incredible, like even how we've changed physically. And I don't know, it's been a long... And I don't even think it's been a long journey. It's been we're on this journey now, and I'm just noticing changes.
I've had a lot of friends who have smaller kids right now, babies and toddlers, and now that we're out of that phase of life, like we have preschoolers and kindergartners and elementary school, it's so strange to look back at other people in that phase right now, because you forget and then you remember. Like,
dude, when you're in the middle of like changing diapers,
it feels like it never ends.
Yeah, you feel like you're gonna be there forever. Like, and there's beautiful things about that too. Like, I remember just
retrospect is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, for sure. I don't miss being tired.
I'm still tired. Our 3-year-old's in our bed every night.
Yeah, she is. I transported her back to her bed like 3 times last night. or not last night, the night before.
Well, but the thing, we were talking about that anyway, though. I feel like it's different now because we can look at her crawling in our bed every night and like she's our last baby. She's our last little kid, and we know it's a phase. We know it's going to pass, and we know that she's the last one that's going to do that, and then at some point it's going to stop, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know? And that phase of life is over.
At some point, they start sneaking out of the house to hang out with their friends.
Good Lord.
Have a Corona party. So, hopefully not.
Yeah.
Don't do Corona parties, please. Yeah, so, I don't know. Just looking back, holding the babies. And I know sometimes you're like, oh, Zoe, I want a baby. I'm like, well.
No, I don't want a baby.
We made that surgically impossible for me.
No, I do not want a baby. I would like to hold a baby.
But there's sometimes you have like that thought, like, oh, the babies. Like I remember.
Well, you miss all the good things about the
they
baby.
they smell so good, and their skin is soft, and they're so little. And
I'm happy to wait until I have grandkids for that. Like I am happy.
Just remember making bottles or like de-thawing the milk that was in the freezer, like the breast milk.
Yeah. Carrying. Oh my gosh, what are those called?
The pump.
No, where we had the hot water in the little.
Oh, little thermos.
Yeah, the thermos for the hot water on road trips, so that we'd have like water to make the formula that was warm because our kid was picky.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And like getting the temperature exactly right, like having a cold bottle of water and then that thermos so that you had the right temperature and you don't want it too hot. Yeah.
Shout out to parents. Like I'm just gonna. We got this little thermos. It was like the brand was Fugo, Foogo, like food going Fugo, and it was small, compact little thermos, and we carried that thing in the diaper bag everywhere because you could either put hot water in it, cold water in it. You could put formula in it if you needed like a little canister. It was so helpful to have that when we were little, just because it was like a portable bottle warmer thing. Do you remember camping and like not being able to have hot water and our kids like refusing to drink the bottle?
Oh yeah.
And we're just like, oh my
God,
gosh.
they're not gonna sleep.
And then you're like, I just wasted all this formula trying to make you a bottle, and that crap's expensive, and like, oh my gosh. And then just trying to like deal with these petty little things that you feel like are earth shattering at the time.
Yeah.
Or running out of diapers like at like bedtime and realizing you have like one diaper and you're like, well, guess we're going to the store right now at 10 o'clock because we're out of diapers.
Right. Yeah.
Although I still like to have a pack of like baby wipes around because it's convenient.
Yeah, and
just in case.
And then preschoolers can still have accidents and
they get stuff on their face and their hands and they're still grubby.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I don't miss buying all of that stuff though. Like having to budget for formula because it's expensive and diapers and wipes and my kid doesn't like this bottle, he only likes this kind of bottle.
Yeah. Oh. That's when Costco came in handy because when we could, we would buy the big packages of diapers from there. And I tried to like, so there's like a, I don't know, mix between quality and quantity.
I think by your second kid, you're like, we just need to get this done.
Like in a pinch, I would buy like the off-brand, like Walgreens or Walmart diapers, but they were kind of crap.
Yeah.
I mean, literally.
No, you get what you pay for. I think I feel like they leaked. Like they leaked a lot.
The Costco diapers, though, like they were not per diaper. I don't think they were as cheap as like the Walmart ones, but they were like good quality and like you could have a huge package and you were good for a while. I don't know.
I remember us going on our baby Costco runs, and it would be like wipes, diapers, formula, and giant bags of coffee. Do you remember that? Like we're not going to be able to leave again.
Yeah, like coffee, diapers, wipes, and then like cleaning stuff, and like we were good.
And I think I try as a mom, like you want to help other moms that you see either struggling or like. You want to
share advice.
Yeah, you want to impart advice with them. I mean, again, every kid is different. Every baby's different. But there's things that I learned being a mom of small kids that I'm like, if I can make somebody else's life easier, I will absolutely share that.
And shout out to dads who are stepping in.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about being a man, but I think it's easier for a man, like biologically, to kind of disconnect from their kids. Like, the mothering spirit like is pretty deep. I know that.
They also want their moms a lot.
Although I know that there are some moms who disconnect and can leave their kids because we've seen that in our lives. But I don't know. I think it's our dads out there who are stepping in and just
I think for
no,
dads.
and here's what I hate. Dads shouldn't take a helper role, right? Dads should just be there.
Well, I think they look at like, oh, like parenting it's nurturing, so therefore it's like a female role or it's
Right.
predominantly female. You can be nurturing and be a dad, and you can do both, and you can.
And not like a helper. Like you're not.
You're not the help. You're the other parent.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Well, one thing I always appreciated when our kids were really little that you did was, we had like a carrier, like a baby Bjorn, and you would wear it. Which was so nice, like for us, just to, as a mom, just to have like even an hour of just hands free where you're like, okay, I don't have to carry a baby for a minute. I can brush my hair and my teeth, and I can like pull my pants up with both hands, and like
Yeah.
I can just not have someone on me for an hour.
Right.
That makes a huge difference. Or going to the store and having the dad wear the carrier so that you can just sort of feel normal
Yeah.
for a minute.
I loved it, and I was proud to wear my child on my on my chest. The baby, by the way, baby Bjorns are the best.
Yeah, they
The
really
other
are.
ones that there's like so many straps, and a lot of times they're made for smaller bodies, like women's bodies.
Yeah.
But my big man body, like the Bjorn, baby
How
Bjorn.
tall are you?
6'2".
Okay, so there we
6'2",
go.
240 pounds. I'm a big boy. But yeah, the baby Bjorn fit my body, and
It was easily adjusted for both of us.
yeah, and it was convenient, and I could drink beer, not too many beers, but like
I remember, oh my gosh.
going to Bosque Brewing,
I remember us going to like a brewery and you had the baby strapped to you and
and people are like high-fiving me. and I'm
right, like they're like, dude, you're dadding so hard. That's awesome. And I'm like, I wish
I'm like-
moms would get high fives when we carry a baby. Like,
yeah,
high
the standard
five,
is
good
weird.
work.
And I was like, I'm just being a dad, and yeah, like, could you imagine a mom walking in like, yeah, high five, moms, like moms
should.
should get high fives.
They
but
should.
anyways,
No, but that's true. And then, and then as the kids got older, we had someone give us a hiking pack, like a baby hiking backpack.
we used that for all three kids,
Such a lifesaver.
and we passed it on to one of our friends who have little ones.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, after they grow out of like the baby carrier, the hiking pack kind of comes in handy.
Yeah.
Because you can not have to, hold their hand and drag them along when they're tired.
I know
You
they're
can
not
pop
cheap.
them in the pack.
And I'm glad that was given to us.
But you can get them secondhand. You can find
Yeah.
them on
The
eBay.
hiking pack.
and
I don't even know the
Amazon.
brand of it, but I remember just
I think it was like Ozark Trail or something.
no, it was more of a high quality brand. But
Bauer or something. I
just
don't know.
going into the mountains, like in New Mexico, we have a lot of great trails, hiking trails. I took Luke to not San Diego Peak, Santa Fe Baldy, because we used to have opposite schedules. I would work at nights, you would work at days. So while you were at work during the day, I would take Luke on these little hiking trips when he was a baby, and I hiked.
I hooked.
I hiked.
Hooked and I went squatching.
I hiked Santa Fe Baldy, which is like lush forest above, like it's from like 10,000 feet to 11,000 feet above sea level, and it was amazing. Like he fell asleep in the pack, and it was just beautiful. Like I don't know, those sort of things give you some peace as a parent.
It also helped us just in regular things. Like we went to Las Vegas last summer, and our daughter was 3, but she's a tiny 3-year-old. She's very petite, and so we threw her in the hiking backpack, and
Yeah.
Lorenzo walked around Las Vegas, Nevada, in the summer with her on the backpack, and it helped because her legs were tired. She wanted to fall asleep. She was cranky, so it helped with that.
I think that was the last time we used that pack, and that was the limit. Like her size at that point, like she was just
Yeah.
about to be too big.
Yeah. I mean, and I think we used the hiking backpack for, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. We've used it so many times for so many different scenarios, and it's been so helpful.
Tahoe?
Yeah, Lake Tahoe and San Diego Zoo.
Oh yeah.
When we went to the San Diego Zoo, we brought it with us, and it was
It's
like
better than a stroller.
yes,
Strollers are bulky. Like if you're going somewhere, it's hard to know where to park the damn thing.
Yeah.
I like the
Do you
pack.
remember when we went to Disney World with Luke when he was 1, and the
Yeah, that
stroller was
was-
like a constant
that was
like,
miserable.
well, you can't bring the stroller in here, so you got to park it, and we're like, so we had to keep getting him in and out of the stroller.
I
and it was just such a pain in the
it was
butt.
Disney World, wasn't it?
Ugh, yeah.
It was Epcot.
Yeah.
First of all, the tickets were $100 each.
When they're that little, they don't remember, and it's more stressful for you to bring them and bring all your baby crap than it is to actually just go and enjoy it. Like, don't bring your kids to Epcot when they're small. You're going to regret it. It's going to be miserable
And
for
don't
all.
go to Florida.
God, just don't.
Especially not in the summer.
Or ever.
I did enjoy Disney World.
Or ever. Just don't go there.
I did enjoy Disney World with you before kids.
Right. We went with my parents, and that was really fun.
We went in February, and it was about 60 degrees. We were in shorts and T-shirts, and everybody in Florida was bundled up with hats and, like, coats. I'm like, what the hell? It's, like, warm.
I know. Us from New Mexico, we're like, this is great. Let's go swimming.
Yeah. We actually did go swimming.
There was, like, heated pools. And no, I think there's a time and a place in childhood for your kids to go do the Disney stuff. I just think you want to, like, for your sanity and also for your wallet, you should go when they're able to walk on their own. They're not too little and they're going to get tired and they don't need naps. And also, like, go when they can remember it and you can enjoy it as a family and it's more inclusive for everybody's age. I think it's really hard to do it when they're so little.
Yeah. For me, I would rather do, like, a national park.
Me too.
Over like a theme park.
Yeah.
$100 a pop, man. Like we were thinking about doing Legoland this last summer.
Yeah, a stop on our trip.
In California. And I was like, that would be really fun. Let's look into that. And then I went to the website, and I guess every park in Southern California is $100 a ticket. That's like how it's
like a park monopoly.
It's like a cartel.
It's a coup.
It's like a cartel. Like everybody is $100.
Mickey Mouse is like smoking a cigar and like counting his hundreds, like playing poker and like
So I'm like, screw that.
Mob stuff.
I guess if you buy the ticket though, it's good for a year. I don't know, some weird shit. Like I don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah,
I'll just go to the beach.
That's exactly what we told the kids. We're like, look, the thing is, Legoland is super expensive, like, but we can still go to the beach. And they had just as much fun. They enjoyed it. And then we were in Palm Springs, and they got to swim every day, like multiple times a day, and they thought that was like the most amazing thing.
Summer, I went like you're just talking about this vacation. I'm like, I want to do that.
And it was great. You know, I was a little worried when we went to Palm Springs with kids. I was like, you know, they're going to hate it. It's going to be hard to do with kids because Palm Springs isn't really a kid's place.
We went to this little ice cream shop. That was fun.
But it was actually doable. Like, it's amazing the things you discover about a city or a place you're visiting with kids because you have to modify it. You know, you're not going to go bar hopping. You're not going to go do all the things you would do if it was just the two of you.
Right.
But Palm Springs was not bad. We stayed at a resort that is part of a timeshare that Lorenzo's parents have.
Yeah.
And it had a pool and a hot tub, and it was like they had activities and they had things for kids and like so they were able to just do kid stuff like swim every day.
Right.
And then they were so tired that they slept really well at night. And even Sedona, we went to Sedona and like same thing, like they swam, they played, we did a few things during the day, and that was good. You know, and we got to find family friendly things that worked for us. So it wasn't terrible.
I'm afraid this summer. Like I even right now.
The downtime?
Well, even right now I'm thinking I want to go on these vacations. You're talking about these vacations. I'm like, I want to do that this summer.
Probably doesn't help that we were supposed to be in Seattle this week.
Yeah.
And we had to cancel.
I missed out. Okay, so I missed out. My school paid for us to do a conference in Boston.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to happen in like March. That was canceled.
Yeah.
I was like, shit. Like,
That's
when's the next time my public school is gonna like pay for me to go to a conference
and give you a stipend
per
day?
Yeah, it's like never gonna happen. So that was canceled. Our Seattle trip was canceled, which was supposed to happen like tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
Right? No,
we would have been leaving for Seattle in like 2 days.
Yeah.
And
so that was canceled
for a wedding, but we were excited about it.
And then this summer we were planning like a crazy road trip in our trailer, like going to Portland
for another wedding, which was canceled.
And I'm afraid, like this summer's going to happen, and people are so damn stir crazy that they're going to want to do all this stuff, and they are going to do it, and then like it's just going to make everything worse. And I don't know. It's
hard to gauge. I think Texas is open right now, and
Georgia's open.
They're already saying like they're expecting an increase in
second wave,
and it's like, okay. And if that happens, everything's going to shut back down, and we're going to be back to square one. And
right until a vaccine happens.
I know. I'm dying. We have those plane vouchers from our Seattle trip, and I'm just like, where can we go? Like, can we go somewhere that's doable just to mentally deal with life? But
I think the answer is no.
Like, no.
But like, I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't even know. Like, let's just moving on.
Anyway, so I'm gonna bring us back around.
Okay.
So baby time, reminding ourselves of what it was like to be in the thick of parenting at that point in life. It's bittersweet. And I used to think when people would say, oh, it goes by so fast, I'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah, it's exactly what you would say.
No, because when you're in the middle of it and you're parenting, it's hard and it's grubby and it's dirty and you're tired and it is not the best. And we'd be lying if we said it was amazing or the best time of our life. It's not, it's very hard. And so I think when people say that to parents that are in the middle of it, it's kind of insulting. And it's almost like shoving off what they're dealing with in that moment. Like you don't ever want to say that to someone. They're dealing with parenting like hardcore, babies in diapers. You don't want to say, "Oh, it goes by so fast. Appreciate it now."
I think every parent's different too. Some parents might appreciate that, like encouragement. I think adjusting to whatever that parent is. Like for me, like I kind of enjoyed hearing like, "Oh, it goes by so fast. Like enjoy it now." Like that works for me.
I never understood that until it was over.
Yeah. No, but that worked for me in the moment. Like enjoy your baby now. For me, that worked. For you, you're like, you can go screw yourself. Like I'm having a hard time right now.
Yeah. Did you want to change this blowout diaper while breastfeeding? Good. Didn't think so.
So I don't know. I think everybody's different, but yeah, it's definitely.
I just think now what I'm getting at is that now that my kids are out of that phase, it's easier to understand why people say that. But it took getting out of that to see what they meant. And when I was in the thick of it, hearing that was not the best thing.
Yeah.
I think empathizing with people when they're going through that is kind.
I love our bigger kids too, though. Like right now, they can communicate what they need with language.
They can help plant a garden, which they did yesterday. I'm so
they
proud of them.
They kind of did. They mostly complained.
Well, your 3-year-old daughter the other day when we started digging up the soil was like gung ho.
Yeah, no, she was really good at it.
She took the shovel and was like, "Let's go."
The boys were like complaining the whole time because I made them get off of the Xbox.
Oh, God forbid.
So they were with me.
Yeah.
And kind of, and they were fighting
physically,
with those dried up yucca sticks.
Of course. Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah.
I can totally see that them just bitching the entire time. It's hot out here.
Yeah.
Why don't we have to do this?
Yeah. Parenting is great though. Thank you for being a mother.
Yeah.
Mother's Day week.
Yeah.
I'm just putting those pictures together and like watching you grow as a mother and like watching our kids grow. And as I was putting that video together, I'm like crying
because as I watched it, I was bawling my eyes.
I'm like
you guys, I love you.
Yeah, I'm trying to pick this like sentimental song and like I'm looking for mother songs, and a lot of the mother songs like you got to listen to the lyrics because I don't know.
You should have just put like Seven Nation Army by White Stripes on there. Been fine.
Yeah, I could have, I guess. So, anyways,
I have to say thank you because despite coronavirus being a pain in my ass and everyone else's this year, I think I had the best Mother's Day I've ever had the other day. And I'm not just saying that, like, I really feel like it was the best Mother's Day I've ever had. And it was so simple. Like, I wanted waffles for breakfast, and you got me a waffle iron for Mother's Day, which is something that I have been wanting for a long time.
And I bought that Krusty's, not a sponsor, Belgian waffle mix.
But it was so good. And, and I told
But if you want to
kids,
sponsor
like,
Krusty's, we will take your sponsor.
Yes, we will. No, but I told the kids, I was like, I would really like to have, like, a waffle bar. Like, I want to just, like, get whipped cream and strawberries and, like, have really yummy waffles in the morning. And we did that, and it was great. And then,
Thick sliced bacon.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Do we have any of that left?
We do.
We should make that for breakfast. Sounds good. We did waffles. We took a walk along the ditch. And I know that sounds weird. If you're not from New Mexico, you're like, a ditch.
They're these irrigation ditches. We call them arroyos. There are arroyos in Albuquerque's, but we
Some people call them washes, too.
Acequia,
washes.
Anyways.
Yeah, but they're very old. So we went to the Camino Real, which you can look that up. The old Camino Real, there's a lot of really old adobe houses.
It's like the original Mother Road.
Yeah, and cottonwoods.
The OG Route 66.
It was a trade route in like the 16 and 1700s, so it's very old. So there's ditches, dirt ditches, acequias that filter off water into the farmlands around it.
Right.
So we took a really pretty walk along the acequia and the ditches, and there was, huge cottonwood trees towering over us, just really pretty, beautiful walk. I loved it. It was so nice to let the kids just kind of explore and tinker around by the water and see nature and just enjoy the day.
Yeah.
It
was a mixed bag of a day because we kind of bickered a little bit. I was dealing with emotional crap, as I do.
As you do.
But it's like ups and downs. roller coaster.
But then we had, you know, I got a little bit of time to myself. I spent a little bit of time with my mom, just one-on-one, which was nice. And then we did have a friend over for dinner with her kids, who's going through a tough time right now. And she's a mom, and we wanted to celebrate her, so we did that.
We grilled some meat, had some chips. The boys played Xbox again.
With her older son, so they thought they were...
You guys had mojitos. I didn't partake.
Oh, they were delicious.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was great. So it was just a really #blessed day. We really got to enjoy just family and people we care about and celebrate motherhood in like the best way.
Yeah.
So I really had a great Mother's Day, and I just like wanted to say, you know, thank you for that, because it meant a lot.
You're welcome. I'm glad.
Now I'm tearing up because I'm thinking about the stupid video.
Yeah. No, it was good. Yeah, the kids. I interviewed the kids. It was part of our church, but then I was like, well, I'm gonna take these videos because like they're not gonna use the whole videos, which they didn't, and I'm gonna build something more on it. And I just put a bunch of pictures together from.
It was really sweet.
Like okay, so I'm just gonna say like some of my favorite photos are the pictures I take, and I did it with all 3 kids. I took a picture right after each kid was born.
Yeah.
And as the kid is in your arm. And the babies are like crying, but just the look on your face, you're like so, I don't know, you're just like looking at this baby for the first time, and I don't know, it's a beautiful thing.
It's crazy because I remember the moment after each one of them was born, and it was so different for each one of them.
Yeah.
Like with our oldest, Luke, he was crying, and I was just like in shock, I think.
Yeah, like, wow, I'm a mom.
Right, and it was like the first time I had ever been a mother, and it was like, okay, my life just got turned upside down. Like shit just got real. Like I am in charge of this little human, and I remember thinking, they're gonna let me take this baby home? Like, do they know who I am? Like, I can't take care of a baby. Like, they're gonna let me take him home?
They were
like,
really
are you sure?
Yeah. They were kind of rude at the hospital we were at, though.
You sure you want me to take him with me? Because I'm scared. I was terrified. And then with Riley, our middle son, he wasn't the easiest birth. It hurt a lot because he was huge.
Although labor was shorter with him than Luke, though.
Yeah. The crazy thing is they let me labor in the tub for a little bit, and that, like, sitting in a hot bath, and that made such a difference, like, with pain. And I know that means nothing to you because you're a man, but...
Nope.
But sitting in a hot, like, it really did make a difference. And after he was born... He didn't cry. He wasn't a crier. He snuggled up.
So his personality.
I know. It's so funny because even in that moment right after he was born, he was exactly himself, and he just cuddled up and like looked at me and like snuggled. And that's totally how he is now. Like he was not a crier. He didn't scream and cry. He just snuggled and cuddled down and like, you know, I think his extent of his crying was like, wah. Like they made sure he was healthy, but it was not like. And then our daughter...
She just slipped out.
She is so spunky. She has so much spunk, and that's exactly how her birth was. And I remember holding her in my arms, and she was crying and looking at her, and there was just a feeling of like, I have a daughter, and now I'm going to cry. And that's
baby girl.
That's a different feeling. Like when you realize that you
have that in common with this human. Like we're females.
I can't stop. No, like having a daughter when you're a woman it's like you think about the world and you think about what you want it to be for her because of the world you had growing up and how you want to make it better. I'm such a crying mess. And it's just a different thing. Yeah. I think being the mother of a daughter, you start to think about how you want the world to be better for her.
Right.
And what can you give her as a female, you know, as far as advice and life and how to empower her to be okay. And it's just different. I love my sons too. Don't get me wrong. Like I love my sons. I think it's just different when it's a
different world. Like you can relate to her experiences. She'll be able to.
And I can think about how I want to make the world better.
You can guide her, and you can
for her.
I think maybe mothering a daughter is different than mothering a son.
It is. It is.
The same thing for me. Like fathering a daughter is a little bit different than fathering a son.
Well, I think you start to realize when they're the same gender as you, like you start to realize the example, like the power and example that you have. Like right now, our daughter's 3, and she wants to watch me put on makeup, and she like wants to wear my dresses and like imitate me. And it's weird to have somebody like look up to you like that.
Right.
And so you're like, wow, you know, I really do have to be a good example because she is watching everything I do. Everything.
Yeah.
Like she watched how I put on lipstick one day, and now she can do it. She puts on lipstick better than like some adults I know. It's ridiculous, but
She's pretty good at it.
But like I'm like she's imitating what it means to be a female based on what I show her, and that's
Right.
powerful, and it's strong, and it's also terrifying. So
Yeah. No pressure.
yeah, no pressure, none. So happy Mother's Day. I'm a wreck.
No, thank you for sharing. Well, do you want to close up?
We should.
What are you listening to?
I want bacon.
Bacon. And then there's that.
Let me go ahead and pull up what I'm listening to because it's changed a little.
Has it?
Yeah, I'm actually listening to a book on Audible right now. The only place I could get it was Audible. I looked everywhere for it. It's a book that's been translated from Japanese into English and in several different languages.
Right.
It's an interesting book. It's called 1Q84, and it's by Haruki Murakami. It's long. It's kind of science fiction-y.
You enjoying it?
Yeah, I am. His writing style, I mean, granted that it's a translated version, is really good. Great writing. I'm really enjoying it. He's a good storyteller. And I don't typically listen to a lot of fiction books. Like, I'm not really a fiction person, usually, but this is really good.
That's cool.
So it's 1Q84. It takes place in a futuristic version of 1984. It's just a very interesting book.
That's cool. again,
They only had it on Audible to listen to, so that was kind of one of those things where I was like, I guess I'm getting Audible for a while.
Yeah. We gotta cancel it
Yeah.
before it charges us.
Yeah. I've been listening to a lot of Run the Jewels lately. Glass Animals has a new produced
Yeah, they're releasing like a song here and there, right?
yeah, in quarantine. And actually they made a video called Dreamland, and they did it in quarantine. They did it in their apartment with all of their equipment. So it was like really kind of cool. Tame Impala, always.
Yeah.
There's a band called Eyes on the Shore that I've been listening to a lot. And then I have, oh my gosh, where is it? Last added, here it is. There's this guy, okay, this is going to sound so weird. He's called Pokey Lafarge. Pokey Lafarge. He has like this Americana sound. Like I can probably like, hold on. Okay. Like I'm going to play some of it.
Okay. That's
So
interesting.
anyway, yeah, he's like it's like an Americana, like throwback kind of sound.
I like it.
I like it too. Yeah. So Pokey Lafarge, pretty good, pretty different than what I usually listen to, but I like it a lot. And then I've been listening to, Kevin Morby, a lot of Kevin Morby, like him a lot as well.
Awesome.
So that's kind of what I've been into. And then podcasts, Sword and Scale, like always. I've been listening to a podcast called True Consequences.
Oh, it's a local.
Yeah, it's a local podcast. I believe he's out of like Taos, New Mexico. Really good stuff. He talks a lot about true crime here in New Mexico, things like that. Really enjoying that one. And then Down the Hill, I think I had mentioned that before. It's a true crime podcast as well. And then for kids, I wanted to kind of shout out a podcast for kids in case, your kids are looking for something. Vermont Public Radio has a podcast for kids called But Why, and they talk a lot about different things,
Like scientific topics.
Yeah.
And
So it's called But Why, a podcast for curious kids, and it's by Vermont Public Radio.
they answer questions from kids like, why is there salt in cookies? And
Yeah, where does the sky end? Live, Bats and Beavers. Like, so yeah, they have really good podcasts for kids. Our Llama's Ticklish.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah, so it's really, really cool to kind of like let my kids listen to that. That's a good
They're
one
fun. I was enjoying listening to it too.
yeah, like elementary school
Yeah.
kids. So check that one out for kiddos.
Nice. So I've been listening to podcasts again because for whatever reason in isolation we make more laundry, we make more dirty clothes,
We eat more food.
So as I'm folding clothes, I put in my headphones and just fold away. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And podcasts are where I go. So I've been listening. I found out a new podcast from an author that I really liked. I listened to one of her books this last year, 2019. Accidental Saints by Nadia Bolz-Weber. It's amazing. And if you were brought up Christian and kind of have been like, I don't know, like disinterested or like disagreeing with like where the Christian church is going, especially in the United States with our president and like the evangelical like movement where they're moving away from like teachings of Jesus and like justifying like crap by their religion. I don't know, like that's where I am. And Nadia Bolz-Weber is a voice that I feel like was pretty refreshing and saying like, life is dirty. Jesus set an example to do this. And I don't know, like I enjoyed her book, but her podcast is really good too. It's called The Confessional. And the one I've listened to 2 episodes, but like one episode was this guy who and I won't go too much into detail into it, but it was this guy who was a drug dealer in California, and his buddies decided to plan against him, and they stole a suitcase full of weed. But one friend decided he didn't, like in the middle of it, he decided he didn't want to do it, so he stuck around. He stayed with him, and then he ended up telling the guy, I was planning on going with the other friends and stealing this weed. And then I guess he had rage, and then he picked up a butter knife and like stabbed him in the chest and killed him, and then spent like 17 years or something in prison.
Holy shit!
But now he got out of prison and he works in like the tech industry in California. But there was a confessional. He's just talking about like this awful thing he did, and like how he's finding redemption, and like how he's finding that through his faith. And there's other stories too, and it's just like it's highlighting the redemption of like humans, and I think that's where like Christianity is like a really great voice, is just like the redemption piece. But for some reason, like Christianity has morphed into this like not redemption. It's like focusing on like, you're awful, you're terrible, you don't deserve anything. Like, I don't know. And like, anyways, it's a really great podcast. As far as music, I'm listening to other podcasts, but that's the highlight. As far as music is concerned, I've been kind of going back to enjoying some like old funk, Motown, soul. Little Richard passed away this last week, so that kind of caught my attention, and I've been kind of going back listening to some of that music. Also Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder.
I feel like Marvin Gaye is a constant at our house.
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah.
And then what was the other? Otis Redding. So I don't know, and it's funny too, like because I listened to a little bit of hip hop like before we were married. I had a friend, his name was Jacob, and he was really into like Kanye and Common and all this other guys that were popular for sampling. Mm-hmm. And then I'll hear a song, I'm like, oh, that was sampled from this guy. Yeah. So I don't know. That's what I've been into.
Cool.
All right. Well, that was a long one.
Yeah. We talked to birds and babies and
music. And
Battlestar Galactica. I'm just
birds,
kidding.
babies, Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. Let's go make some bacon.
Let's do it. I got to go to work.
I know. I
All right, y'all.
Get working too.
Well, enjoy your week.
Happy Mother's Day, mothers, if you haven't heard it already.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day to the moms. And keep it on. All right, have a good one.